as my daylight time is shorter and I'm aware I'm getting older, I
Episode
know all
8
I can
of
do
Yeah,
is keep
the Mom
going.
Podcast.
let's get into
Life's not
it.
Yeah.
Talking about roles as a mom.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
did a little bit of Googling around. I was looking up stuff, trying to see what would be a good topic to talk about. And this really stood out to me. And it kind of lists
Mhm.
5 roles of mothers.
Okay.
So I thought we could maybe talk about those. And I mean, I think I agree. I totally agree with them. And there's probably even more than 5 roles that we play, honestly.
Probably.
So 5 roles of a mother, it stood out as unconditional. And that is such a true one. Like just the unconditional love
Mhm.
that mothers have for their kids. And I think these are roles to me that, it says 5 roles of a mother. And like dads have unconditional love for their kids too, right? But like when
It's different.
it is like when dad gets on to the kids, it even hits different. Like mom can get on to them mostly all day long and they just like laugh it off. Like I don't think I ever made Charlotte cry from getting on to her. I really don't. But like if
It is
dad
different.
it's so funny. It's like it's instilled in them.
Mhm.
Like different with mom. Like she's gonna love me through my mess no matter what. So condition, physical and emotional care, discipline, encourage, and connect are the 5 roles of a mother.
Mhm.
I feel like physical and emotional care even kind of go into unconditional. I don't know why. They just feel like, I guess because emotions and stuff and just like having that nurturing effect.
Mhm.
And discipline. And I kind of challenge this one. Like, yes, I think we are the disciplinaries, of course, for our kids, but it does it like that's not
Everybody has their own way of doing it, and I think a lot of it stems from how you grew up and how you were raised on how you discipline your kids. And it's perfectly okay to change that just a little bit. It's perfectly okay to change it a lot, and it's perfectly okay to not do it at all. But there needs to be some sort of discipline because I've seen so many kids who haven't had discipline and they are crazy. So there needs to be some kind of discipline, just a little bit at least.
but that's where like I feel like the dad being in the house is so nice because like literally
Mhm.
dad says the name one time and it's like, yes,
Yep.
sir. You know what I mean? Mom, it's like it's a fight back
Yep.
always. Like they're gonna listen. Like I don't know, me and Charlotte struggle with discipline, and it's that mom-daughter relationship of where like I'm her friend, we're best friends, but like I have rules, I have no's, and really
Mhm.
she's a really good kid. She really is. She's the type who really doesn't push those boundaries too far. It's
Mhm.
in an acceptable range. Like
Just wait.
like she might
Just wait.
out with me or something, like yell at me or just be like bratty more
Mhm.
so. But we've talked about before, like she's tried to drop a few cuss words out, but she always asks, like, can I? So it's not like I can be like, like no,
Right.
but I'm like, no, you cannot.
Right.
I don't know. The discipline thing I struggle with, but yeah, I think that'll be something maybe I learn more in the older years to come. Because
Mhm.
I mean, she's 5.
Right.
She's 5. Like we definitely have to discipline and still do things and like set rules. Like I do timeouts and stuff and
Mhm.
all that whenever when the attitude's for real.
Yeah.
Like when the attitude come down a lot, I'm like
Mhm.
you just
Right.
gotta go sit in your room, and that's that healthy balance of like disciplining them and letting them know their appropriate way of reacting.
Right.
And emotions are valid, you can have your emotions, that's totally fine, but like
Mhm.
appropriate way to have these
Oh
emotions,
yeah.
and I'm gonna know myself.
I always try to explain to Natalie, like, hey, this is what you said and how you said it, and maybe you could say it differently because that was not okay. And I think that she's to the age now where that helps out so much more than because I'll tell her, like, go sit in your room for a little bit.
Mhm.
You cool down, you sit in your room for a little bit. Why don't you say a quick prayer, maybe read a book, something? I don't know. Um, but yeah, I think sitting her down and like getting eye level and explaining, hey, this is what you said and how you said it, and we can say that differently. And that has helped out, I think, a lot with us.
I can see that. And I
Mhm.
try to explain it to Charlotte. I think age thing, because like her attention span's not there for me really.
Right. Mhm.
She acts like she's listening, but she's really not listening.
Right.
We've gotten into this thing. Oh, let me tell you what'll make my blood boil. I'll be trying to talk to her and like, correct more than like really discipline. I would call it
Mhm.
correcting in the moment, not like a big deal, but it becomes a big deal because of her disrespect for me trying to correct her. Like she'll get mad. She doesn't want to listen. She
Mhm.
doesn't want she doesn't like authority.
Mhm.
So she'll plug her ears and do this type of stuff and just like roll her eyes. If she is looking at me, she'll be like, and I'm like, remove your ears. Like my voice just immediately gets loud, like that right there. I'm like, you weren't in trouble, but now you are in trouble.
Right. Right.
All you had to do was listen and say yes ma'am. That's that mom daughter like sass
Mhm.
me, because then if John says something, like she's not happy about it, but she's like, yes sir.
Mhm.
No, nothing else said back. It's done, it's over. She will make me want to pull my hair out sometimes. Like
Oh
just
yeah. Oh yeah. We've definitely been there. Natalie's just got a big attitude, and I blame myself because I've taught her to have her own voice, and I've taught her to, fight back and speak up, and now I'm not regretting that because I always want her to be like that, just not with me.
just not with the person who taught it to you. Okay, please, like.
Right, exactly. Like we had a big conversation the other day because Natalie, her big thing right now has been lying.
Mhm.
She's been lying and over little things. It's not even like really big things. So the other day, since school started, I've been making her sit down and read a book. And I tell her, I don't care what book you read, just sit down and read it. Well, she's been picking little chapter books like Junie B. Jones. We have some Magic Tree House books, stuff like that. So she was like, well, I don't know what book to read. And I was like, well, hold on just a second. Let me go get you a Magic Treehouse book. And she's like, what is that? And I'm like, it's a Magic Treehouse book. You'll like it, I promise. So I will go get her one and I set her down. I'm like, here, read this book. I promise it's good. And so she reads it like that. And I'm like, I know she can read fast, but not that fast. So I'm like, did you actually read that book? And she's like, yeah, I read it. And her eyes got big. And I was like, are you sure you read it? She's like, yeah, uh-huh. I was like, pinky promise? And she's like, yeah, yeah, pinky promise, pinky promise. And I was like, okay, go get in the shower. So she goes and gets in the shower. I lay Willow down and I go grab the book. And I'm like skipping through it. I flip to the end and noticed that there was a specific stone that they had found. And I was like, Natalie, what stone did they find in the book? She's like, what? And I was like, what stone did they find? What kind of stone was it? She's like, um, a circle stone? And I was like, that's what I thought. You didn't read the book, and now you're in trouble for lying to me.
Yeah.
And I told her, I was like, and you're going to read the book now. I wasn't going to make you read the book before if you'd have just told me you didn't think you'd like it. But now that you've lied to me, you're reading the book. She sits down, she reads the book front to cover, and then comes back and she goes, Mom, I really did like that book, and I think I like reading. And I was like, well, I should have listened.
Oh my gosh, yes. Charlotte's in the lying stage too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And I'm trying to
Yep.
figure out around it, but like it's over little things.
Yes.
Like once like she doesn't like authority. So she wants to do something like take a toy to the bathtub, and we have bathtub toys, and we have toys for not in the bathtub.
Right.
And I don't like her bringing the ones that are for the bedroom to the bathtub because we have enough toys in there.
Mm-hmm.
So she talked me into one Barbie doll the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Last night, she didn't even ask me because I told her the other day, one Barbie doll you can bring to the bathtub. No more, no other ones, no ifs, no, one.
Right.
And so yesterday I went to in the bathroom to check on her. Actually, she called me in there. She called me in there. She said, "Mom, I brought a horse in here," and she showed me. And I was like, "Well, you already did it, but like I don't even know what to say. Like you're telling me about it, so okay."
Mm-hmm.
She just doesn't ask, but she does it. And then there was another time last night, right at bedtime, she grabbed her remote from under her bed because she has a TV in her room and she watches YouTube in there. She
Mm-hmm.
loves, I hate you. I can't get her off of it and she's addicted to it. And I'm like, I make her turn it off for certain periods. I'm like, nope, you can go on a walk with me. And then we come back and she's like, okay, I'm going to watch YouTube all day. I'm like, no, actually, you're not. You can stay off it
Right.
and use your brain. You can do some homework, you can draw, you can do whatever you want to do, but you're not watching YouTube for 30 more minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So, and at night when we go to bed, I turn off the YouTube, but I turn it on to kids' YouTube and have like music playing.
Mm-hmm.
So she's not, you know,
Right.
so she knew I was going to do that. And so she grabbed the remote and she hid it underneath her back. And she did like this weird thing when she rolled, like, like you could tell she was putting something back. And I didn't know what she had. So I said, what'd you just put behind your back? And she said, nothing. I said, Charlotte, what'd you put behind your back? She said, nothing. And so I physically pulled her up, pulled behind her back, and it was the remote. And I said, we don't lie. Like, we don't lie.
Yeah.
You have to ask me. If I say no, then it's no. But you don't lie to me. I said, you're not, I'm not in trouble. I'm not mad. You're not in trouble. But
Mm-hmm.
don't lie to me. Like,
Right.
I don't know how to get it across because it's not big things.
Well, I had to sit Natalie down and explain to her how important trust is. I was like, what if something happens to you and you come to me and you tell me something and you've already broken that trust and I don't know if you're telling the truth or not, so I can't protect you from certain things or I can't, stand up for you with certain things because I can't trust that you're telling me the truth. And I said, and when you get older and you're old enough to, go hang out with your friends, I want to be able to trust you and trust that you're going to be where you say you're going to be. And whenever you're able to drive, the same thing. I said, and if I can't trust you, then you're not going to be able to do those fun things with your friends. That's just simple as that. If you break my trust, then there will be no trust because I'm all for, Natalie does have a phone. She is hardly ever on it, but it's the same thing with that. When she gets older and she does want her phone all the time, I will obviously go through her phone like I do now. And once she breaks that trust, that's it. She's able to earn the trust back and, in time. But once you break that trust, once, there is no getting it back fully. And that's the worst part.
It is. That's a good one. I like that comparison. Just like because like if somebody's mean to you, like I
Right.
know if you're telling me the truth or not, or if you're just trying to be, I don't know, attention seeking or
Exactly.
good one.
Hmm.
That one's good.
Yeah. The little boy who cried wolf, but with
Yeah,
lying
for sure.
or hiding stuff. Like it's just it was just the only way that I could think of to really get my point across because I'm like, how am I supposed to protect you? How am I supposed to, be there for you, stand up for you when, we have certain issues if you're not telling me the truth and you're hiding stuff from me? Like that just you just can't do it.
No, it's a good one. I like that for sure. I'm gonna have to use that with
Hmm.
Charlotte because I haven't explained to her why she shouldn't
Hmm.
lie. We don't do that. Like, no.
Right.
Honest, just ask me, like don't try to
Hmm.
hide things from me. And it's such a normal thing. Like it's just, and if you notice, like, okay, so like at the end of pre-K last year
Hmm.
for their they like go through with the kids and they ask them, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? And like all the kids say like police officer and stuff like that, usually like stuff of authority. I'm
Hmm.
like, these don't like being told what to do.
Right. They do not.
And I've told her before, I'm like, one day you're going to wish somebody was telling you what to do.
Yes, right. Because I mean, and that's another thing that I told Natalie too. It's like we don't have a rule book as parents, as human beings. Like we don't have a rule book for anything. So once you get out of high school, even going into college, you don't have people telling you what to do. Like you're the one that has to wake up for everything and get to school, and that I mean that's your responsibility to do that. And I don't know. To me, I feel like in high school, we need more like real life classes. Like, I'm not gonna need to know, half the stuff we learned in high school.
I know. I think about it all the time. Like when I see the clouds, like in junior high, we spent so much time on like learning the different types of clouds. And I'm like, I think these clouds start with a C, but I can't even remember the word of it.
Right. Right. It's so funny. I was talking to my husband about that the other day. I was like, I just don't understand. Like, as simple as a cloud, like we have to learn all of that stuff. Like, if I was a meteorologist, it would be different.
And I mean, I get for some people, I guess it might spike that interest in them that they want
Right.
to become meteorologists. But yeah, like if you're going to be a meteorologist, like then you need to know. But how many of us kids that go to school are going to become a meteorologist? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Maybe like maybe
Hmm.
if maybe one of 100. I don't know. I mean, there's not a lot of meteorologists out there. Like there's
Right.
no news channels. But oh, what I was thinking, like how I was saying, the dads like are just that disciplinary role,
Hmm.
and like mom been all day. I feel like yelling at the kids and them not really listening.
Hmm.
But then dad comes in and like he yells at kids, and it's like I don't know about you, but I don't know about anybody else, so y'all have to let us know. But I have this like mother instinct come up where I just want to like guard my baby and be like, don't you yell at them. These are my kids
Right.
all day, like all day. But I know when I've been yelling at the top of my lungs, you
Right.
know.
I'm the same way. And then there's sometimes where it's just too like stressful and I'm like, go take care of it. Like just go.
Sometimes with Charlotte, because in the mornings, I think I've told you before how she does me in the morning time, with like doing her hair. She'll throw the biggest fit. She's like, "This is the ugliest hairstyle. I don't like it." And then the next day, asks me to do that hairstyle again, and I'm like, "Make it make sense, sister." But here going down, he'll be like, "Charlotte, drop the attitude," and she's like,
Hmm.
"Okay, yes." And then it's like
Yep.
this part of me just like giggles a little
You're like,
bit. Yeah, you thought you were gonna be mean to me, but no.
you think that was funny?
Hi, pretty girl. She's like,
Yeah,
think about this.
I know. She likes being on camera though.
So she's staring at herself.
Mhm. But yeah, there are sometimes, Natalie's older now, so it was the other day and Natalie popped off something at me and Chandler turned around and he was like, "You're not going to speak to my wife like that. Like she might be your mom, but she's my wife and you're not going to talk to her like that." And I was like, "Thank
Yeah,
you very
right.
much." Like sometimes they just need to hear it, and it's the hard truth, but you got to learn how to speak to your parents. Like you can't just go all
You
willy-nilly.
do, and that's what, yeah, like I get it. Charlotte says some of the like I wasn't prepared for some of the things that she says to me until she was a teenager. Like I've been told she hates me, I'm the worst mom, and it's all a manipulative thing though, because like I've broke it down to her and I'm like, and these are things that some people might not want to share with their kids until they are older, but I'm like, I'm not going to be here forever.
Right.
Like, in the things that you say to me, you can never take back. Like, I forgive you, but you can
Right.
never take you said that to me. And like, it makes her feel really bad. And then one time it was so bad, she was saying it so often. Like, she's gotten a lot better about it, but
Hmm.
she still slip out when she gets really, really mad at me. But
Hmm.
before, she was saying it just off the wall, man. It was crazy how she was saying it. And she was so young.
Hmm.
I just her. I ignored her. I wouldn't talk to her. And like it hurt her feelings. And she so
Yes.
bad.
Hmm.
I heard her say it before, and he walked into her room and he said, and I heard him, I was in the bathroom, and I heard said, "You're gonna go in your room, you're gonna go in that room and you're gonna apologize to your mom right now." And that's all he said. And he walked out. And then
Hmm.
Charlotte's in there and she's got these tears in her eyes and she says, "I'm so sorry." It just gives me a hug. And then she said, "John,
Hmm.
so mean to me." All he said to you. Well, you're gonna
Right.
apologize to your mom. I said, he said it just like that. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I think you made me feel when you said what
Right.
you said to me.
Hmm. Yeah, it's crazy how much our kids know how to manipulate us sometimes.
It is.
It is. It is.
It's crazy to me seeing how like this generation, and it's because of us. It's because
Hmm.
of us. What's raising them. but they're growing up so much faster at these young ages of like being like teenagers.
Yep.
Like the emotions my daughter's going through at 5, I did not go through until I was 13. I'm telling you, I didn't.
Mhm.
And
Well, even like with periods and stuff, I've seen where kids are starting them as young as 9. Like, no, my daughter will be 9 next year.
I don't know what we're doing so differently.
It's
Like
the
I know we're doing well,
food.
it's the food, and I feel like I like the attitudes and stuff, like the person my daughter is. Like I
Hmm.
know raising her a lot different than my mom raised me. Probably similar in some ways, right? Because she raised me, and so
Right,
you that instilled in you. It was just what you know. But I'm also a different person than I was. Like
right.
totally.
Well, and we're in different times than our parents were too. So, I
She's
mean,
so much more advanced.
yeah.
Like how they see how kids like put makeup on, like with that type of stuff.
Hmm.
They're so advanced. And I guess it's because we're like our generation's really into all that. And like my mom, she wasn't really, and I feel like most of my friends' moms like weren't really big in like there were some who had
Well,
their makeup.
and you also have to think like we have our kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like we have our kids and our kids are watching us.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm not saying that our parents didn't have us, but with me, like I didn't sit and watch my mom put on her makeup. I
No,
didn't sit and, you know,
she didn't.
there's a lot of stuff like I didn't learn from my mom that I had to learn along the way. And those are like washing your face, you know, I didn't know how important that was. Um, Something as simple as that, like those are the kind of things that I want to teach my kids. Like this is very important. Taking care of your skin, putting lotion on your skin is very important, you know, stuff like that. It's just we're in two completely different times.
Yeah, we are, and we're so like at, what's the word for it? Like we're just so active on social media and doing
Yeah.
like reels and all that stuff.
Hmm.
And so they like last night, Charlotte walked out of her bedroom while I was eating dinner, and she like had her same clothes, but she added blush and she added lip gloss and she had some sunglasses, running, and I was like, "Get your fashion from?" And she said, "You," and I was like, "Yes."
Cute.
It's so cute, and I love it, and I don't know, it's just funny.
But yeah, we just social media, I think, is a really, really big part of it too. Because like I used to let Natalie watch YouTube a lot, and now, oops, now I hardly ever let her get on there.
Yeah,
And if she does get on there, it's watching educational videos because like I've just
I don't blame you.
even the kids YouTube like is some things are inappropriate on there and I just don't want my daughter seeing that stuff.
Blame you.
Like
And even the things that we watch though as kids, is that we watch TV. We watch
right.
not YouTube. We
How
didn't do
how
that.
I just certain things on SpongeBob that just went over my head. Like I watch it back now and I'm like, that's dirty.
Yeah,
And I was watching that as a
yeah.
child. Like
There's low
that's
key
crazy.
thing, and so I try to remind myself like that. Like they don't realize it, you know, they're not picking up on it yet, really. But I don't blame.
Hmm.
I don't blame you. I feel like our parents did. I feel like our parents did a little bit better, but I feel like this is something like whenever you think about generational curses, like pouring over into generation after generation. Like
Hmm.
I know my mom had a time about acknowledging acknowledging my mom twins and
Hmm.
like who she was, you know what I'm saying? Like they
Right.
kind of live, and my grandma's still very much this way to the day. Like if you if you say something about a goal you have and vocalize any of my goals around my grandma, she's probably gonna be like, "Oh, that's silly," or like, you know, like
Yeah.
can't do that. You know what I mean? Like just that passive aggressive comments.
Hmm.
Us as parent, I know our generation's doing a lot better with it.
Hmm.
We are speaking positivity and affirmations and all
Yes.
those things to our kids.
Hmm.
I'm proud of us for that because it really does set the tone for what
It,
they can achieve and who
yes.
be. And but I think we do need to look in the mirror and acknowledge or recognize if we're doing that same kind of talk to ourselves
Mm-hmm.
too. It doesn't matter what we're speaking to them if we're not speaking it to ourselves, because
Right.
I think they pick up on what they see more than they hear.
Oh, absolutely. Not saying that, you know, you have a bad mom or anything like that, but you should want to take what good parts that your mom does have and do better.
Mm-hmm.
Bring that in, show your kids that love, uplift them,
Mm-hmm.
you know, push them to do the better thing. You know, you can't force them to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as you're there and as long as you keep, you know, cheering for them, I mean, I feel like that's all you can do.
I do too. I do too. I think, and it goes into what we've talked about before, like being able to invest in our kids. It's like really noticing what your kid is good at.
Mm-hmm.
Like she said at her pre-K thing, she wanted to be a cop. And I talked to her about that. I was like, I didn't expect that from you, because like it's not her, like the things I see that she's interested in. I imagine her being like a fashion blogger or like working in New York in the fashion industry. Like I just imagine this big life full of opportunities for her.
Mm-hmm.
I think it starts with us parents being able to see our kids do that though, so that they can see that vision for themselves too, you know? Like if you can see it, you're not going to be like, oh, you're crazy for that, like you can't do that. Think
Right.
more along this
Mm-hmm.
lines, like no, let them fall, let them fail, and let them get back up and figure it out. But I think even us as parents, I think that we've maybe lost sight in the things that we want to pursue as passions. And it's like showing up for those things and letting your kids see them and letting your kids see you uncomfortable, like no matter what it is. If you're a person who want to go back to school, to be a nurse, if you want to be a beauty, you know, whatever it is, there's so many things out there for us to be in life. And just letting our kids see us, like
Right.
you didn't get ahead of it before you had kids, take it as a win, and that your kids get to see you go through the hards, the ups, the downs, and all of it. And you know,
Absolutely.
you can be that encouragement to them. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's a plus, such a plus. Like I see so many friends going back to nursing school, and nursing school is hard. And I'm just like, not
Yeah,
only
it
is it,
is
yeah,
not for the weak.
it's not. And you know, a lot of them are like, this is all for my kids. But I'm like, I feel like they forget that it's not just for their kids, but it's for them too.
Mm-hmm.
It's their dream. But
See, and that's one of the things that I've had to learn too is doing stuff. What are you doing? What are you doing? Go this way. Is like finding the time to do stuff for myself.
mhm,
Like I love to paint, and that is something like I really want to start doing on a daily basis because it really is therapeutic and it really helps me. And like I said, it's just something I enjoy doing.
mhm,
So it's finding that finding that one thing that you like, whether it is in a job or outside of a job, is really important in my opinion because it gives you a reason to, I know your kids give you a reason to wake up, but it gets you excited, it gets you wanting to do more things outside of that, more things outside of your comfort zone. And like you said, it's a good, what do you do, it's a good way to show your kids that too.
mhm,
Like they don't have to stay in this bubble all the time for their entire lives.
mhm,
It's okay to, you know, venture out, try new things.
mhm.
And even if you fail at those things, that's okay. No one's perfect and you don't have to be perfect. You don't even have to be perfect if you do it, you know, 5 times in a row. You're still not going to be perfect and that's
Yeah,
okay.
like let them see the failures. Let them see that, and then let them
Yes.
keep going. Because it's so easy. So many people get bummed out off of the first hiccup, and they're like,
Yep.
oh no, that's for me. Like let them see it, that it's not always
Mhm.
here. It's gonna be down here sometimes too. And
Right.
like, you know, you gotta have more than just waking up for your kids. You really do, because like your kids
Yeah.
you one day. They're
Hmm.
not gonna go out, they're gonna have their own life, and you're gonna be lost,
Yep.
stuck, like just, you know, a deer in headlights.
Well, and that's a hard place to be. Being lost and not knowing, you know, what you want to do, what you want to be, who you are is really really hard. And I think a lot of moms struggle with that, especially stay-at-home moms. You know, we pour our whole lives and our entire days into our kids,
Mm-hmm.
and most of the time, the only thing we get in return is a happy kid. And I know that's great and wonderful, and that's what we, want. Willow, quit. But at the same time, like you said, like our kids are going to be gone one day, and when we don't have, someone to pour ourselves into, and we aren't used to pouring anything back into ourselves, like it's a hard transition. It's a very hard transition.
It's
I'm
like
sorry, this thing's swaying back and forth.
it's like when your marriage take a hit, you see a lot of people in their 50s getting divorced. Like, I don't want to be in my 50s getting divorced, starting all over. Like, I want to know who I am, who my partner is, and like how to, you need to know.
Right.
You just need to know. It's something good to take that time, even if it's like 15 minutes of just trying to even journal to learn
Right.
the things that are on your mind that you maybe want to try, and then like
Mhm.
trying them slowly and like, oh, I really like this. I like the way it made me feel. I felt creative, or I didn't like this. It
Right.
wasn't that fun. Now,
Well, and there are several different journals that you can get now. Like if you don't know what to write, like they have writing prompts for you.
yeah,
And I know I have one. I need to start writing in it or drawing in it more, but it is a drawing one. Like it'll give you a prompt to draw. And I really do. I need to start doing it more often.
that's good. Even Pinterest, you can just get on Pinterest and
Yes.
journal prompts for gratitude or whatever. It may be that was just the first one that came to my head.
Pinterest makes me so mad right
Is it
now.
the
It
ad?
does. It's not the ads. It's just like, how like quotes. Like if you're trying to look up quotes, it would usually pop up just a bunch of quotes. And now it just has links. Like you just click on it, you have to go to a link to look at all the quotes. I'm like, that
Yeah,
just makes me
it
so mad.
does. You're right, but it does still have a lot where it's just like the wallpaper. I
Hmm.
love Pinterest. I love
I do too.
Pinterest.
I like it more than I like lemonade.
I haven't. Yeah, I haven't tried that one out yet. I remember
It's not worth it.
I've seen it a time or two, but I don't like learning new things really. Like I do, but I'm content with my comfort zone.
Right.
Things I'm like I have to be pushed to get out of my comfort zone. Sometimes I do. Like
Hmm.
I do, and when it's like an app or something like a learn threads, I still haven't picked up on threads completely.
I haven't.
Trying to, but then I just slowly took a step back. I can't. Yeah,
I have enough going on right now with TikTok. Like I don't think I can do anymore.
I'm telling you that I post there maybe a week, maybe not
Hmm.
firm. So the last one we have is that connect. And whatever I was reading on what they meant on that connection with mom and kid is how moms like know their kids like the back of
Yeah.
their like
Hmm.
their likes, their wants, their like and I think that moms usually know their kids better than anybody does, really, right?
Absolutely.
And we should. We should, especially
Absolutely.
you. Go ahead.
No, I was just I was
Yeah,
agreeing with you.
yeah, I do. But I think I think we know our kids better because there's a lot more stay-at-home moms nowadays.
Hmm.
Now, working mom is a little hard. It's a little hard to because you're not getting that full time with your kids.
Right.
I,
And it's I think that if you have a job, there's a lot of women that do good balancing both. That have a good relationship with their, like my aunt, like she is someone that I look up to in my life because she is a boss lady and she still has that, connection with her kids too. And that's just something, give me that. You can't have that. That's just something that I think is so important because, me having two girls, like I'm going to be the one that they look up to. So I'm going to have to be the one with all the answers, and I'm going to have to be the one to be like, "Hey, like I can see that you're down, like talk to me about it," or I can see that you've got something to tell me, tell me. Like I want that relationship with my girls.
yeah,
Like I really do. You quit.
it's hard. My heart really goes out to women who work, um, and parent their kids. But then, like whenever your kids get in school, it's like they're working. So like you're home and stuff. But I mean, and it gives time to get the house together though while they're,
Hmm.
um, but
We even sit down and play board games, and I feel like that's a way that we
yeah,
connect. Like we just bring it back, like whether it's goldfish or sorry or whatever it is, like that's a way to sit down and like talk about their day. And like Natalie will tell me about all the drama that goes on at her school.
Charlotte's moments of sharing come in waves. They
Yeah.
come in when she first gets out of school, I'm just like super excited, like, how are you? I haven't seen
Right.
you all day. Like, tell me all the things. And sometimes I get it all. And sometimes it's like, it was a good day, but I don't really feel like talking about it. And I'm
Hmm.
like, oh. And then like last night, that was that kind of a day. And then throughout the evening, she was in the bath and she said, Mom, come here. So I go in there and she's just like telling me something that happened at school.
Hmm. It's like they forget because they're just so ready to get home.
Yeah.
And then once they get home and sit down and they remember it and they're like, oh yeah, I gotta tell my mom this.
Yeah. And dinner time is a lot of our time where we kind of, like that's whenever there's not a lot of distractions. We're just sitting
Right.
there, we're hanging out. Morning times, or a lot of times it's hard for me to slow down constantly. I'm usually up trying to clean, I'm up trying to do something.
Right.
It's like I know my daughter super well, and we have all the days together and stuff, but I don't know, we don't just have, and maybe I need to do better about that, implementing just like set time
Hmm.
every day or once a week of like like just bonding time. I it. Um, I never thought about that. Maybe I need to do better on that because
It's hard to do it, especially when you haven't been taught, first of all, and whenever you just don't feel like you have time for it. And I don't feel like it's necessary to do every day because then it gets kind of repetitive and it gets to where like she's like, I don't have anything to, tell you. But like once a week,
yeah,
I mean, that
yeah.
wouldn't
Just
hurt.
trying to think. See, and we used to do it really like we talk a lot about like what's going on and stuff, but like really just
Mhm.
one-on-one time where it's like just me and her doing something. Like my
Right.
brother's always there. Stay
Right.
there.
Well, and that'll get easier too. Willow, she goes to bed, you know, earlier. So we have that time
Night.
during that time to, yeah, like nighttime to sit down and do what we want to do for about an hour. And that's
Yeah,
just,
I miss
I don't know.
that. I do. I want that back. And I think about it because I'm like, I mean, he's going to be getting closer to a year old and he'll be getting a little bit more independent. But it's like, man, then she'll be almost 7. It's like,
Yeah.
about it. It just goes so fast. But just even, yeah, going to the park and stuff, I'll try to take a few times. Like sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes when I'm feeling live, I'll like get out there with her and play tag or something. I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, so maybe that's some things like we parents have that. I don't know. Even if you don't have one-on-one, households winding it up.
She's wild.
Up
Wild.
back there too. I don't know. Parents know their kids, so working it doesn't matter. You know your kids as a mom. I do feel like that's a true thing.
I feel like if you try to know your kids as a mom,
Mm-hmm.
that
Just I guess when
yeah.
a parent not knowing their kids, I think of like that parent with Annie and live like that's just like you birth the kids and then you
Hmm.
hire to raise them.
Right.
Like
Yeah, I don't know. Like with me growing up, I I'm trying to be careful with my
yeah.
words. Um, I didn't feel comfortable telling my mom a lot of things because of the way she reacted to certain things.
Mm-hmm.
So there were a lot of things that I didn't tell my mom, or like I wouldn't tell her until much longer after it happened. And I know that that probably hurt her feelings, but the reality of it is that I couldn't trust her to tell her, or I couldn't count on the outcome that I would get from
Mhm.
it. So I just didn't. And that I feel like is on her.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know.
That's-
It's something, geez, Willow, it's something that I want to do differently with my
Yeah.
kids. Like, I want my kids to feel comfortable enough to come to me and tell me certain things, and feel comfortable enough and feel confident enough to come and tell me.
I
And
think a lot of our moms, though, live masculine. As we're going over this, I'm realizing my mom was a masculine moment rather than in her feminine. And so she
yeah,
never presented these roles to me always of unconditional love, just, like accepting and nurturing and all those things that you were just saying. Like, yeah.
absolutely. And I think it's a lot like, I don't know how your mom's parents were, but my mom didn't have very good parents, still don't have very good parents. And so they didn't teach her, anything. So it was hard for her to, Judy's so cute. It was hard for her to learn that on her own, especially being so, like, as young as she was. So I definitely give her a lot of grace, but it's something that you can't continue to use as an excuse as you get older. You have to learn to work on yourself for yourself and for your kids, for your family. And if you're not willing to do that, then that's kind of on you. You've got to be willing to do the work as a mom, as a person. And I don't understand sometimes why people it's because they get comfortable in their season and their situation, and they just don't want anything different because they like where they're at. And I just, so I get that part of it, but I don't understand the part of feeling the loneliness, or feeling, miserable, or just having a heavy heart, why you wouldn't want to change that. um yeah, I just I don't know. I'm also a different person too.
Well, and I think it has to do with it's easier to forget it than to relive it sometimes, and
Right.
that, like, with like how you said, like, your grandparents weren't the best parents. Mine were not either, like, they were babies then, though. They were
Right.
babies. Like, my grandma was 13 when she got married to my grandpa, who was in his 20s.
Wow.
That was, like, acceptable, though, like, that was,
Right.
you got married, you raised your siblings. Like, that was the moments whenever parents were birthing the kids. They didn't have nannies,
Right.
but they weren't getting to know their kids. Like, they would go to work and the oldest sibling would have to stay home, and the oldest sibling would then become the mom pretty much, and they never got a childhood, and it just kind of,
Yeah.
got passed on and passed on, and that was the normal. And then the men had the stigma of, well, we go to work, we provide. If I want to cheat, or if I want to go get drunk, or if I want to do that, and then the woman, you don't say anything because
Right.
you're not having to work and you're getting to stay home with the kids, and that's what you get from me, and
Mm-hmm.
that was the life. And then the dads did a lot of heavy whooping at that time. They beat their
Right.
it was a rough time that our parents went through, and that's why we're the ones who are finally approaching and find that counseling is healthy and normal and not forsaken word or something like
Right.
it.
Well,
Just,
and I feel like too, most of us are not afraid to stand up and give our
Mhm.
voice and say our piece. And I think that helps a lot too, because there are certain things, like, I just get to a point where you're not gonna talk to me the way that you've talked to me. I'm not gonna be treated a certain way, because I know that I deserve better. And if you can't give me that, then that's perfectly fine. I've got people, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And I've got myself, most importantly. But I think that everybody should know, and should know that they deserve what they want. You don't have to settle. You don't have to do we live in 2024 now. We don't live in the 1900s. You don't have to settle for just anything. You can make it on your own. It's freaking hard, especially nowadays, because everything is so expensive. But there are ways to doing anything that you want to do. I mean,
yeah, yeah. See, I mean, Like, my grandfather was not the best husband.
Mhm.
I know that's what my grandmother very much settled in that marriage. She wasn't happy. She had animosity. She still doesn't really like him, you know, and he's been dead for 10 plus years.
Mhm.
I mean, longer than 10 years. Like, I was probably 13 when he passed away. So almost 15 years or so now.
Mhm.
But like, you and I try to, like, I understand that, but like when she wants to complain and dwell on it, it kind of has to be like, okay, now you have to put your big girl panties on and be like, I chose to stay.
Yep.
I um I can't go back. But that's why I like really advocate for women living to their fullest, because like
Mhm.
living in what if is only going to get you on your deathbed with regrets.
Right.
Who wants to, like, you know, it makes me sad for my grandma to see that, like, knowing that really she's just full of hate, and
Mhm.
life is, it's not over until it's over, right? But like when
Mhm.
you're years old, it's really hard to see a big picture. um,
Right.
it just is. So I mean, don't settle if you're not happy. I'm not
Right.
say anybody should just leave their marriage either. You know, and I know you're not either. It's like, do the work, and if it's too hard to get past, then you have to kind of come to an agreement on where it stands, you know. And yeah.
Right. I also think everybody just wants to be loved.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? They want to be loved for who they truly are. And it's hard finding somebody that will truly love you the way that you are. You're very lucky if you find that
Mhm.
person. But you have to find that in yourself first. You have to love yourself first and love everything about yourself,
Mhm.
even on your bad days. And that's super hard, and that's work that people don't want to do.
Mhm.
That's standing in the mirror absolutely naked, telling yourself that you look good, even though in your mind it's telling you that it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's smiling at yourself and saying affirmations to yourself every day until you believe those things about yourself.
And
Or, taking a walk to get yourself healthier, like just simple things like that. It's hard work to do, but it's doable work.
isn't it scary? And for me, it was all those things, but it was also letting go of the fear of being alone, and
Yep.
becoming content with being alone with myself for the rest of my life if I didn't find a partner.
Yep.
Like, not looking and searching and being willing to settle for once in my life and being like, you know what?
Hmm.
Um,
Right.
I'm really content in that. It truly does take that. If you can't be alone with yourself and be happy,
Hmm.
you're gonna settle for a lot that you don't deserve, because other people probably aren't truly happy around you, is what I've come to understand, because you're probably not giving off good energy. You're, because
Right.
yourself, you know, like, you're negative. You're
Hmm.
negative. No one wants to be around negative people.
Hmm.
And I don't know. It is a lot of all those things of just genuinely loving yourself, because when you do, those boundaries are not going to be negotiable. Like, you're going to know how you deserve to be treated and spoke to.
Hmm.
Um, it's going to set the tone. It's going to set the tone for what you allow. But um, I love it. I don't know. It is a different generation, and I think we're doing a lot of the healing for even our moms. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Like, I know my mom can very much acknowledge, and she can, now she can be a little cray cray sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, she can be a
Hmm.
little, and I'm like, oh, okay, wow, this is wild. Like, I know you might not agree with what I'm doing, but like how you're acting right now is wild and beyond me. But she can also acknowledge that, okay, maybe you're right. Maybe I didn't do the best, but in the moment, I didn't know how else to do it, you know, and like, I'm sorry.
Right.
But like, I don't know if your grandparents are any different, but like my grandma, her mom, um, my mom can, you can tell her, my mom, us, anybody could tell her, you made me feel this way at some point in my life. And she would say, well, that's your fault, you know, pretty much, that you felt that way. Like, that's not my fault. I'm a Christian woman. I'm a godly, you know what I mean? And it's like, and
Even just hugging your kids. I know, like, as an adult, like, my mom didn't show me a lot of affection as a child, so it's hard for me to do that to my kids now. So like as an adult, my mom hugging me was super weird. I don't
Mhm.
know. It was just super weird, super awkward. But hugging your kids is a big, big thing I've learned. Just a simple hug.
It,
I don't know. It makes a big
it is.
difference.
I feel weird, like you said, hugging my mom in my adult years because it's not something that we did whenever I was a kid. Like we totally
Right.
loved each other and stuff like that, but like we didn't like hug on the daily. And like I try to make it a conscious thing that I hug Charlotte every day
Yep.
before she goes to school. Like if it doesn't,
Hmm.
usually it happens in the morning. You know, I can get some kind of a hug, a pat in or something.
Hmm.
But like I think because we've been busy, like before she gets out that door, I don't care if the teacher's right there or not. I'm like, hey, let me have a hug real quick. You know, I can like just one time before you leave, and then throughout the day, like Charlotte's very touchy, and so I cringe because sometimes moms I love physical touch. I love physical touch. I do. But sometimes just as a mom you have like a baby and you have
Yeah, just overstimulated.
you're just overly
Yeah.
touched.
Yes.
So I get it. But like I it is important. It is. Because I want my kid to hug me when she's 40 and feel like this is normal. All right, you think we should call it down for the episode? I feel like this is a good episode. I feel like this was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really good. And this
Right
is
now,
episode
I'm
8
just
of
a
Oh Shit, I'm a Mama podcast
With Tay and
Kay. And we will see y'all next time.
love it. Thanks. Bye.
But I don't know where